What's up?
Hi.
How you doing?
Like I just bounced in the chair the minute it started.
You're so excited for our show.
I know. I'm so incredibly excited. I'm also lower than I thought I was.
Yeah,
And I just got here super late.
you're tiny. You're tiny.
Yeah,
You
I'm
look so
tiny.
much smaller than me. I
Just
would
gonna
make
go higher.
myself smaller to even us out, but then the microphone would be blocking my face. And that would be awkward.
Okay. That's better. That's better.
I feel like usually I'm a lot taller than the microphone than I am right now, but I was too lazy to get my second shoebox to serve as a computer stand. So here we are.
That's why I keep my microphone to the side, so no one can compare the size difference of the microphone to.
I feel like I'm able to do that with the Rode in LA, but this one needs to be positioned where it is. Optimal sound quality, everybody. Hello to everyone who's here. We have Travis, Tommy, Xeno Hour is here, Annibal's here, MK Songbird. What's up?
Staring down Rogers.
Giving Rogers a look. Rogers
He's a
can
little
do
barky.
whatever he wants.
Being a little barky.
Nobody can interrupt our show except for Rogers.
So quiet the entire time, and the minute we start recording, he starts barking at people. What the fuck, dude?
Happy belated birthday to Rogers.
Yeah, good boy.
Hi, Travis.
yeah.
Hi, Steve. Hi, JG. What were you going to say?
I'm just collecting myself still because I thought this was 5 o'clock PST, and I'm a dummy. So literally, I got back from the gym. Yeah.
I saw you texted me that, and my heart sank because I felt really bad that maybe I didn't specify, but I went back and I specified.
I just don't read things. I see numbers, and I'm like, cool, and I just don't think about them.
Do you know when I'm the worst with that? You know how so some behind the scenes inside baseball for all of you. Whenever we do in-person junkets, you go to a hotel and usually the rooms that the interviews take place in are actual hotel rooms. So whenever I go to hospitality where they're going to tell me where I need to go to do my next interview, they're always like, go to room like 326 or 459. And I'm sitting there like, yeah, sure. Thanks for the information. And then I start walking down the hall and I realized that I hadn't paid attention to a single word they said.
I do it for screenings too. When they say like theater 15, I'm like, great, thanks. And I start walking away. I'm just like, theater what? I don't know.
Like why? Like, why did I not listen? And I acknowledged.
Shuts off. I'm just like looking at the person talking. I'm like, great, thank you. You're really helpful. And I walk away. I'm like, I don't retain any of that information.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not the only one with that problem because I always feel really bad after it happens. Can I do some shameless promotion right up top?
Yeah, I'm gonna get a beer then while you're doing that.
Okay, guys, I did another episode of Collider Ladies Night for Stranger Things, and I teased it on Twitter, but I didn't reveal who the episode was with. So I'll tell you guys first. I already did the Sadie Sink one, and this time around, I have Natalia Dyer on the show. So we're hoping to turn it around very quick. Maybe run it on Sunday, so keep an eye out for that. She was also super cool. And of course, we talked about all things Stranger Things. And with her character, a heavy focus is the love triangle between her, Jonathan, and Steve. So that was an interesting point of the conversation. What are you drinking?
I didn't have time to eat lunch, so I got a PB&J sour.
That makes all the sense in the world to me, Matt.
We be jammin'. See? We be jammin' PB&J sour.
I love peanut butter sandwiches, but I will cut myself, and I love peanut butter flavored things like cookies and ice creams, but I cut myself off at having any sort of peanut butter flavored alcoholic drink.
So it is very much jam forward, like grape jelly. It's like heavy grape jelly sour forward with just a little bit of like nuttiness, I guess I would say, on the back end. So like it's still a fruit sour. Like it's still very much, yeah.
I was trying not to interrupt you, but also emphasize that I agree with Ian. Natalia Dyer's in a small independent movie that premiered at South by Southwest a couple years back called Yes, God, Yes. It's an adaptation of the short film that she was also in, and she is excellent in it, and the movie is quite good. Let's talk movie TV news. What's our first topic? Do you want to pick? Oh, we are going to talk about Thor Love and Thunder spoilers, but we're going to do some, regular non-spoilery talk first, and then we are going to save that for the end of the show. So when you guys start to make enough noise about that, that's when we'll put the spoiler warning up and we'll dig into that. But you are safe for now if you have not seen the film.
Do you see my shirt?
Yes, I do.
It's Dave Lawson's birthday, so I had to wear Dave Lawson's stupid face on my.
Oh, is
fucking
today
chest.
his birthday? Happy
Yeah.
birthday, Dave.
So, I honor the
okay.
smiling Dave on my body.
Have I ever seen that shirt before? I feel like I've seen that shirt.
No, he gave it. Oh, yes, he gave it to me for my birthday. So this
Okay,
is my birthday
yeah.
present from Dave.
This makes sense now.
Most fittingly, producer Dave Lawson, who is most known for his work with Benson and Moorhead, likes to torment me. So for my birthday, I got a picture of him on a shirt.
It's a pretty fun shirt, though.
It is. It's a good shirt. It's on Rustic. You can actually buy it on their site, Rustic Films.
Can you really?
They're doing merch. Yeah, you can. I'm now plugging their merch. You can get your own Smiling Dave shirt.
All right. Lots of sales going to happen tonight. I could feel it. Should we just go for this this bit of breaking news right up top?
Yeah.
That MK Songbird has brought up, and conveniently, I have the article pulled up right here. So I'm reading off the Collider article. According to THR, Julius Ona has been tapped to direct Captain America 4, which will mark Anthony Mackie's first feature-length outing as Captain America after he took on the mantle in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So, a lot of people are talking about how Julius Ona directed the Cloverfield Paradox. I will take this moment to emphasize that he also directed one of my absolute favorite movies of 2019 and also one of my absolute favorite movies of recent years. It's Loose with Kelvin Harrison Jr., who also happens to be one of my favorite working actors out there right now. So if you need any proof that Julius Ona is a wildly talented individual who will probably do wonderful things with this movie, go watch Loose. It is streaming on Hulu right now.
Yeah, Cloverfield Paradox was a studio failure. I don't blame that as much on the filmmakers themselves because I don't know how much control they had over that. So very much going with the Loose side of it. And Loose is a very interesting film that blends elements of thriller, drama, all these things. Like it really goes for a hybrid approach. So thinking about, how they're going to take that into Captain America and stuff like that. Like it's a director with vision. It's a director that has a strong command over tone and all that stuff. So I am confident. I am Mackie's first comeback. Yeah. So.
Oh, I am brimming with confidence. I have all the faith in the world. I think that is a very, very smart choice. And, when you watch a movie like Loose, which is just, brimming with like these beautifully subtle performances that are just oozing subtext and encourage the viewer to lean in and actually engage rather than just watch. I think that his ability to do that is going to add a really nice layer to a Marvel movie. And I am excited to see that, especially because what I just described is like not totally different, but pretty damn different from what we just experienced in Thor Love and Thunder. So if he's able to bring anything that he did in Loose to Captain America 4, I think I'm going to really, really like that.
Yeah, and looking back on the Captain America movies too, we're looking at more of the political thriller side. Winter Soldier is such a 70s political thriller and stuff like that. So we're obviously it's not going to be the exact same. Like Steve Rogers is a different character, and Anthony Mackie's going to take it a different way, but the Captain America movies always have been a little politically driven, obviously, and they're going to be again, very much so, like with Anthony Mackie at the helm there. So I hope they continue to let the directors shine as they keep going forward, and to see how Ona honors the past franchise, honors those past elements, but also takes them into the next phase.
I'm actually really loving the MCU in 2022 for that reason. I know I know that's caused some polarizing responses because they seem to be taking especially big style and tone swings to me this year especially between Thor Love and Thunder and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and also Miss Marvel too. I love the style of that show, but I feel like when you go big and you try to do something different and evolve a franchise, it's inevitable that those changes and those different layers will work for some and not for others. So I get it. And I think that makes total sense. But that's something that just me personally, I happen to really be feeling right now. And it's not that I lost my enthusiasm for the MCU, but it's upping it again. And that's really exciting me.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat. I never lost excitement to say that I was completely off boat, but honestly, Doctor Strange 2 and we'll get into Thor later, but the most recent Thor, I think are two shining examples of how the MCU is learning, okay, we can obviously have a product, we can obviously have the oversight that we want to have, but we're going to be at our best when the director is actually shining through, because it comes down to I don't want to see the same thing over and over again. I want to see completely different films. So going from like Sam Raimi to Taika Waititi and letting them both shine through while still making a Marvel product. Like, you know, Raimi did talk a little bit about how much oversight there still is. Like, it's there. Like, Marvel is saying you have to stay in these boxes. There was the example Sam Raimi gave recently where he's like, I wanted to have a certain scene between like Doctor Strange and Mordo be very Western themed in the way he shot it. It was like a spaghetti Western where they first meet, and the close up on the eyes, go back and forth, do stuff like that. And apparently Kevin Feige was like, it's too corny. I don't want it. I want that out. And like Sam Raimi had to fight just for that to stay in. I'm glad they let that stay in though, because I don't know if that would have stayed in a previous like, you know, year or like, you know, way when Marvel was starting and they had probably more oversight. But it's nice to know that like you're hearing Sam Raimi say like, no, we got to keep that in. That was something I fought for, and they let it stay. So they're learning. I think. I think that's what we're actually seeing from all this.
I think you gotta when you have so many movies and your franchise has been running for so many years.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to pick our first story from our string of texts?
Yeah. String of texts.
Or a thread. I don't know.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, there's a few things here. I mean, what like there's trailers we can go over.
You pick. I'm letting you do the honors.
Okay.
I can bet on what I bet I know what you're gonna pick.
Well, do you want to start with I don't know, did you see the Clerks trailer?
I watched it, yeah. I know you're really enthusiastic about it,
yeah.
so I definitely
I don't know if
I'd watch it, and I thought you were gonna want to talk about that first.
I don't know if I'd say I'm enthusiastic. I am not like a Kevin Smith hater by any means. I'm like I like most of his movies, in fact, but it's very meta. Obviously, Clerks 3 is teasing like they're making a movie. Like it's them like just being friends making movies, and I think this can go very well knowing Kevin Smith and knowing what he likes to do and like inject his personality into his films, and he likes to have fun in his own universe. Also, though, some of his other films that really, you know, the newest Jay and Silent Bob, for example, stuff like that failed miserably for me. And there were just so many in-jokes and so many things like that where he just got lost in trying to be overly meta in his own universe. And I'm very much hoping that Clerks 3 is more restrained with that. I think it's, you know, if it sticks to the heart and soul of what he's done in the last two Clerks, I think it'll be okay. I just have other evidence in his more recent films that leads me to believe a bit of a hesitation, a tiny bit of a hesitation.
I am not very well versed in the Clerks franchise, so the reaction that I likely am having to this trailer is, you know, I've obviously seen the movies, but I think my reaction is probably a mix of like a newcomer or someone that needs a reason to jump back in and care. And for me, it's the movie within a movie element that got me. Like I have no investment allegiance. I'm not dying for another Clerks movie. But when you show me a trailer that's about someone feeling inspired at a certain point in their life to, you know, make a movie and they're passionate about movies, that's going to get me. So I think just the way that the concept is presented in the trailer did enough for me. But, you know, admittedly, this isn't the highest priority for me, but it does the job that a trailer should do. It ups my interest.
To confirm, no, Strike Back is a good movie. I like Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. I think that's when he's hitting like the right level of his kind of nostalgia and his kind of metaverse. Where Jay and Silent Bob Reboot is the one I was talking about. Reboot is the one I came out 2 years ago at this point, 3 years ago. Came and went for a reason, and holy crap, that did not work for me.
It happens. It happens. Do you want to highlight our next trailer before we move on to the super chat?
Sure. Yeah, I was going to say we can do either that. We can hop super chat or trail.
The other trailer that we have here is See How They Run. I'm so glad you sent that to me. What a delightful murder mystery that looks like. And also, I know it's got a really epic ensemble where there's so many incredible people in it, but I am very willing to bet based on this trailer alone that Saoirse Ronan runs away with that movie. She is so utterly delightful in this, and her lines are landing so well.
I also think the Sam Rockwell of it all. I adore Sam Rockwell as an actor, and I feel like we just don't see him enough. And especially recently, like I just really am excited to see him be playing against Saoirse. Number one, as you said, doing great things in the trailer. But number two, I just I'm just excited for Rockwell to be doing his whole detective shtick. I think he's going to fit that role completely well, and the way he kind of goes into his characters and has a little more of a goofy sensibility and is able to have fun with them. I'd see some, Murder on the Orient vibes in a way. Obviously, I didn't really care for Murder on the Orient, and I never saw The Nile, but I'm hoping this one kind of overtakes both of those.
Well, and also, the murder mystery enthusiasm that a movie like Knives Out sparked, and
Right.
they're doing some of that with that kind of vibe with Only Murders in the Building. Like that whole thing seems very popular right now, and this leans into it thus far based on the trailer, I think, very well. Just in case anybody out there does not know what this movie is, the IMDb synopsis says a desperate Hollywood film producer sets out to turn a popular play into a film. When members of the production are murdered, world-weary Inspector Stoppard and rookie Constable Stalker find themselves in the midst of a puzzling whodunit. Sam Rockwell, Saoirse Ronan, Adrian Brody, Ruth Wilson, David Oyelowo. I mean, this is just a phenomenal group of people, and I can't
I
wait
just want it
to
to
see
be
what they
fun
do
murder mysteries.
with this
I
movie.
think a murder mystery is like always fun. I mean, obviously it's about murder, but like the way those movies always play out, it's just a fun little romp. So I hope it hits on the head and does the right thing.
Sign me up for that. All right, John Lee, we are coming your way for your super chats. The Boys season 3 finale was great. Can't wait for next season. Do you think the show ends next season or go to season 5? Ideas for what's next? Do we?
Can't really
I mean,
spoil.
we know that they're making season 4. Has it been renewed for more than that?
That I don't know. Somebody said if we're going to spoil, and no, we will not spoil
No.
Boys stuff. I just want to see what the next one is. Okay, so the next one's about an interview. I guess brief thoughts without spoilers is my review went up today.
Brief thoughts, including spoilers, or
No.
Okay.
No. Sans spoilers. No spoilers. No spoilers. Review for the last episode was up on IGN right now. I just really liked it. The way I can say without spoiling anything is it was unexpected to me for the reasons why I liked it, but it ultimately is the right finale for this season. I think this season, more than any other season, has distanced itself from the tone and, for lack of a better phrase, little edgelordiness of the comics, and has really come into its own as like a full, fleshed out, rich story. And the season was more about family than it was about like fucking shit up. That's, again, like stopping there and saying it that way. I am really happy with how this season turned out for that reason, especially. And I like The Boys now for reasons that I didn't like in season 1. It's great. Evolution.
I'll make my comment, go into John's second super chat. Also loved your interview with Claudia Dumit. She, along with the rest of that cast, deserve a lot of love, as well as the writing for the season. So Victoria Newman wound up being one of my absolute favorite characters of the season. I think she was brought into the show quite well in season 2, but the opportunity to really get into her headspace and the predicament that she's in. And I think well, I didn't mean to do that, but I did. Dangerous headspace to be in. But I like how all that's not coming across like it's super black and white and clear to like fully assess how she's feeling. And I really do think that speaks to Demit's ability to really, convey a complicated, I'll say it again, headspace, and it makes her a far more interesting character that I'm very eager to know more about as the show progresses. You can watch that interview on the Collider Extras YouTube channel right now.
Nice.
Not right now, after our live stream.
If you want spoiler things, go to IGN.com. There's my review on there, and I will also have a full season 3 review hitting next week, so you'll get both things. Also, do you think the show, to answer, like, do you think the show ends next season or goes on to season 5? I think this show is going to go on until it can't anymore, because it is so popular, and it is I don't think Amazon is going to let this one go, is the way I guess I'm trying to say.
What happened to the Boys spin-off series? Wasn't there a spin-off series where they're in college or something?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The comment I was just about to make was even if they do find a reason for this main group of characters to wind down their story in season 4, it is such a big world with so many possibilities that I wouldn't be surprised if they went the spin-off series route. But then I'm like, oh, they already announced one of those.
Yeah, and there's plenty of possibilities in this world too, because like the spin-off series, like you said, it's going to deal with a younger superhero team. Like there are so many going with the comics, there are so many teams. Like, it's not just about the Seven and the boys. Like, there are so teenage kicks, all these things that they've been making reference to. So like, you can do spin-offs with other teams. This one is going to be younger superheroes trying to figure out how to be young superheroes and come into their own. Perfect crossover potential. So like, this is primed to be its own universe, and it can be its own universe. So like, yeah, I don't think The Boys is going away anytime soon based on, again, popularity and just what it's doing.
Yay. I'm very excited.
Which I'm very fine with too, obviously.
I mean, this is a good question that we can let me just bring up the specific article about the spin-off series, because the one that I have here is something about a spoiler. Okay. I'm using the search function on Collider, and I'm searching Stranger Things because there's really no better way to narrow it down. And it's just like, there's so much Stranger Things coverage that like, I'm going to scroll for a minute. So say something, Matt.
Here's 70,000 things.
I mean, it's justifiable though. The show is so hugely popular. People are so passionate about it. I get it. I get it.
No, so Songbird is saying the Boys spinoff might have had some recast due to scheduling conflicts, so that might have kept it where it is for that. But I mean, like, Prime isn't putting all this money into all the in LA alone, there were activations for like a full week and a half straight. I don't think they'd be doing that kind of stuff. It's interesting. So the series is pumping comic book sales, no doubt. Like, it's actually an interesting comment because a lot of people I've been seeing online and talking to, like, enjoy this show way more than the comics, because it is like, the comics are relentlessly bleak, and I say edgelordy before because they do, you know, early 2000s, or sorry, like maybe mid 2000s to like the early 2010s. The vibe was just as much boundary pushing as you could do, and The Boys did that. And I wonder if someone watches this show and then goes back to the comics, how far they get into it. I don't know if it's driving sales of the comic book, because I think a lot of people who like the show for what it is now might go back to the comic, read a few volumes in, and be like, oh, hell no. Like, absolutely not. Like, the comic is brutal, diabolical for a reason. Like, they use that word all the time because it is diabolical and off-putting, and it always keeps like the heel pressed against your neck, and it doesn't let you kind of stop that. So I reckon that there isn't much crossover happening there.
Oh, bringing up Diabolical. I guess they also do have the animated series.
They have Diabolical
too. Yep. Yeah. I just completely forgot about that. I did manage to find the full release for everything the Duffer Brothers have coming up.
There you go.
So, first thing is that they announced their production company, Upside Down Pictures, very appropriate, for film and television projects as part of their Netflix deal. So they will make more stuff. According to the Duffer Brothers, their general thing is that they're going to aim to create the kind of stories that inspired them growing up, stories that take place at that beautiful crossroads where the ordinary meets the extraordinary, where big spectacle coexists with intimate character work, where heart wins over cynicism. I mean, I like the sound of that. Their growing slate of projects include an all-new live-action adaptation of the anime series Death Note. Yeah. That's an interesting move. I mean, they seem like the right creators to handle that, but like, I didn't really dislike Adam Wingard's Death Note either. Like, I understand how it pales in comparison to the source material, but it just feels like we're not far enough removed from that to warrant another one yet. But, you know, if they're passionate about it, I'll see it. What else do we have? An original series from the creators of Dark Crystal, Age of Resistance, a series adaptation of The Talisman. I'm very curious about how that is going to turn out. That's another thing that just sounds like it's right up their alley. Mm-hmm. A new stage play set within the world and mythology of Stranger Things. That is a new stage play. I don't know about that. I don't know what to make of that. Again, if they feel passionate about something and they're going to put their company's name behind it, I am willing to give them the benefit of the doubt that they have a good idea. But like, with everything we've seen in Stranger Things, can you think of even like the tiniest sliver of that story or a corner of that world that would say to you, this is going to play well on stage?
So, and you have to think about the other adaptations that have been attempted on stage and how quickly they went away. We were actually just at the beach on Friday talking to friends and talking about like the King Kong stage adaptation and the Spider-Man stage adaptation and how quickly they were off air. You know, like there were a lot of things that come along with it.
Beetlejuice is hugely popular.
That is true.
Beetlejuice is hugely popular. I mean,
I guess I'm thinking more things that are very special effects driven and trying to recreate that on stage and kind of how hard that becomes. But
it depends what route they're going to go with it, you know?
Yeah.
And like, is it going to be a musical? Is the Demogorgon going to sing?
I mean, if they do it right, correct. Like if they do things right, that would happen. Like that is what I want to see.
There's the stage play, and then the last bullet point on this list is a live-action Stranger Things spin-off series based on an original idea by the Duffer Brothers with Upside Down and 21 Laps producing. So it's not much to go off of there. I don't think there's any significant quotes about
they have not,
of what that story could be.
Like, if it's going to be related or anything like that. I mean, it'll be related to.
I mean, it's going to be related,
story, but what like I meant like characters and like who would be in it and stuff like that.
I feel like the only way something like that is going to work is if it doesn't take place in Hawkins.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like there's another corner of the world where there's another gate or another, arm to this experiment that we weren't aware of in Stranger Things, or maybe we'll become aware of in Stranger Things 5, and that's how they'll pave the way to a new spinoff.
So like I keep forgetting that there is a season 5 happening because I felt like they went so big with season 4 that like it just felt like it would go out on something that huge. And yes, there's a whole season after this.
They have a lot of work to do. They have a lot of things to tie up. I want that season 5, but like the issue with season 4 that I know some people had, like we're going to be waiting a little while for that season.
Yes, we are.
So when I was prepping for the Natalia Dyer interview, I went back and I didn't rewatch the entire series, but I rewatched pretty much every single scene she had. And it's just like, it's incredible how much ground they've covered. And when you watch it like connected like that, and I'm sure I would feel this way about other character arcs, Nancy's arc is real fucking strong. And I will say, revisiting the conversation that we had last time about who she should end up with, you could tell Amelia that I am very much anti-Steve now.
Based on her reactions or based on what? Just the
no, based on like a rewatch and seeing her growth in seasons 1, 2, and 3 in such close proximity to what happens between them in season 4.
Okay. That's totally understandable.
I feel very strongly about that now.
That's fair.
I'm afraid to touch this. Oh,
sorry.
Happy Sad Confused podcast. The Duffer said the spinoff is 1,000% different from Stranger Things. It's not following. I've read these rumors that there's going to be an 11 spinoff, that there's going to be a Steve and Dustin spinoff, or that it's another number. So like their MK Songbird, they said that those are all inaccurate predictions. Yeah. I would definitely wouldn't think that they would do a spinoff with any of these characters. Again, it still goes back to what I said before. I think it should just happen in a different location and be affiliate and like where there's an Upside Down.
I just keep thinking they spent so much time in Russia and how that could play in. I don't know. They spent an over long time there. So like, I don't know, maybe they wanted to make it some kind of significance.
Yeah, I don't think that's, I
doubt it. I doubt, but
I'm looking at this. I mean, I'll just put it up. Party Goose said Nev Campbell officially confirmed she's not in Scream 6 again. So she reconfirmed again, basically, that the rumors that were going around last week are false.
They're going to keep going. Like, I feel like this is going to be an ongoing thing where everyone is trying to like, I mean, we're basically like, look at that. We're going off convention bookings. Can we even go off of that as...
I mean, she does hit the convention circuit fairly often. People have conversations with her. I can understand news coming out of that. It's just like people were big mad at me and Joel the other week because we ran our countdown episode. And then that's like literally the second that episode went live was when the rumor started to circulate, and everyone's like, no, she's actually going to be in it. I'm like, no, that's a big old rumor, but I'll happily give the person credit for it if it's proven true ultimately. But no, I'm not seeing anything concrete about that. There's
nothing concrete. I know what they're referencing. It was literally like her booking agent was just saying over and over again, just like, yeah, we're not booking anything right now. So everyone's like, yeah, so that means she's not doing it. Like,
oh, I see what you mean.
Signs are pointing, but again, it means to me, it means nothing until I actually see the movie. They can deny all they want. They could Andrew Garfield it. I know, like, obviously you're not going to do that in a Scream film, but like, still, Garfield convinced us all he wasn't going to be in Spider-Man.
This idea makes a whole lot of sense.
That's actually fun. Yeah, that's actually really fun.
There's something about me being sad about the idea of, well, I guess you could do this and still keep it within the. It's just like if they're going to create Stranger Things spinoffs, I want those spinoffs to take place in the reality of Stranger Things that we know it now. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want it to just be like another group of kids going through a D&D like experience that's just different from the Upside Down.
I mean, it would be fun though just to watch them play D&D, like in a way.
I would watch that too. Yeah.
Yeah, just have to play along.
That's the spinoff, is that they all live happily ever after, and from now on they can just like legit play D&D in a safe and sound basement.
Yeah, no, I think that would be really fun in a way. Like, I really enjoyed Legends of Vox Machina, and I knew nothing about, coming in. I got the quick explainer of like why it's important, and like, the team behind it, and they were like, that was just a campaign they played, and that was the thing that they did tabletop. And Legends of Vox Machina became this hilarious like cartoon, animated show about it. And I don't know, like there's something really fun about that. You're just living in this fantasy world where anything can happen in a way, and it's all based on like a tabletop game. And I'd be totally into that.
Look what time it is. So I can take this up and now officially make this announcement that signups for the Patreon Fantasy Football League are open. So it's the month of July or nothing at all. If you are not confirmed to be part of the league by the end of this month, so like the last day of the month would be your last chance to officially sign up. The league is closed. We are looking to have a big league again this year. We already have a lot of members, and we're moving over to Sleeper, Matt. Sleeper's better.
Sleeper's better. I agree.
You've convinced me.
Sleeper's good.
Yep. So that is the plan. I am so excited, and I'm so stressed. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know who my draft priorities are. I'm so confused.
Did you see the latest trade?
What was it?
Baker.
Where did he go?
He went to Carolina. So he is now.
Carolina had Cam Newton and Sam Darnold before. Okay.
Yep.
So Baker would be their starter. Like Baker would be their person now.
Yeah. So
what happens
I don't know what
that
does.
Like done?
They're hanging out. I mean, like I think it's a competition. I think Baker has every chance to lose the starting position if he tanks it. But coming in, the idea is he will take over for Sam Darnold, because you don't bring in Baker Mayfield at this point unless, like if you're confident in Darnold, you're not bringing in Baker. Baker's coming in to be a starter. Yeah. So it's his job to lose.
I want Baker Mayfield to have like the season and go on and just do real fucking well, and then give his last team a big old middle finger.
Do you know who they play first week? Carolina?
Are you kidding?
I'm not even joking. Yeah, that it actually just works out. So we will have that confrontation immediately. We will have the confrontation of Baker versus his old team. And whether that is not with a quarterback named Watson, because they still haven't said his suspension yet, if there is one, will be determined soon.
Interesting. What a
yeah. So it's been a real fun conversation week one.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens. I'm psyched to play though. Hope you sign up. It's fun. We have a good time, and we're competitive.
It's all good.
We're competitive.
Yeah, it's all good.
We're nice, but we're competitive. Was there any other like newsy news before we? Oh, I wanted to bring up this sex education thing.
Go ahead.
Because I'm kind of sad about it. You don't watch the show, right?
I just said I don't watch it. I didn't say don't bring it up. I was just like, I can't
No.
help you here because I don't watch
This
Sex
show is
Education.
so good. You should. I highly recommend. Like when you do have free time and you want to like reward yourself with just a damn good show, like go binge Sex Education. It is fantastic and deserves even more credit than it gets. But the news here is that the actor who plays Ola, Patricia Allison, is not returning for the next season of the show, and that's just like a huge, huge disappointment to me because I love that character. I loved watching her relationship with Lily evolve and also Otis as well. And I still think that there was so much more ground to cover in both departments. And the fact that we're not going to get to further explore those storylines is just a huge disappointment to me. But I'll backtrack a little here and say that, wait, I want to find the source article really quickly.
Go for it.
Or apparently it's a source tweet. Oh, she said it. She
herself
said it while it's a clip that's circulating. So I'll read the quotes as they were transcribed on Collider. I absolutely have loved being on Sex Education so much and playing Ola, but unfortunately I won't be joining the team for season 4. She went on to say so that she could do some other little things. She also shared that she would be pursuing other projects, but it was a really hard decision for her to begin with. Although she is officially leaving the set, she also said she has grown to love playing the character for 3 years. I love the show. I have to say goodbye at some time, but other things are coming. And that's really exciting. You know, there's a scenario where, because like a lot of these actors are blowing up thanks to this show, and they're already getting wonderful opportunities, but they're gonna get more. And you know, for all we know, maybe she really did score a huge opportunity that makes sense for her to take. And you know, I'm curious to see how that pans out. But you know, as someone who loved her character, it's just sad to know that she's not going to continue on with them in season 4.
I am sorry she is not there.
Thank you.
My condolences.
Thanks.
That's all I can have.
I really am just like very eager to know what she does next and what she is using that time for.
I mean, I have to assume that if you are leaving a show at this point that has helped get you to this level, it is with probably very good reason.
Amy Lou Wood is so good on this show. She's one of my favorites. Very briefly, do you want to just bring up the fact that James Cameron says he may not direct Avatar 4 and 5?
I mean, well, they might come out in 2 decades from now. So, like, yeah, of course. Dude probably might not even be here. I don't know how to say that any other way. Like,
he's James Cameron. Like, respect.
James Cameron is just going to get in a submarine and just go to the bottom of the ocean and live there forever in some aquatic base he's built without telling anyone. That is what's going to happen.
He can do whatever he wants to do. He is James Cameron, but also I have some respect that like he's just like saying whatever he wants to say, and ultimately he's in full control of the situation. This may be his truth right now, but as he even says in the quotes, like maybe I will, maybe I won't. It's just
did you see his other quotes about like the box office? They're like, yeah, this might not work at the box office, but like I just want to do this shit. Like, and you're like, okay. And his other one was like, yeah, this is basically tailor made for critics to hate. So like I can already read the reviews and like that they're gonna write about me. Like he is just giving no fucks at all, and it's hilarious.
I mean, honestly, good for him. If he does have that no fucks given attitude, maybe we'll wind up with a better movie where he just makes a movie that he purely believes in and he goes for it. And who knows, maybe I'll wind up being a huge Avatar fan after this next one.
Yeah, he did even have his little comments about like everyone said it was just Pocahontas for proper, but I'm just like, all right, come on.
I love when you like do that voice. I guess very briefly before we jump into Thor Love and Thunder spoilers, I will be there. I'm trying to pressure Matt into coming down for a little bit. We'll see.
I will probably just be watching Rogers, being straight up on.
That's fair. I want you to be there to hang out and have fun, but I also want Rogers to have company and not be left with a sitter.
Down next year.
All right. I'll take it.
If I show up for a night, I show up for a night. But if I don't, whatever.
Understandable. All right, let's do it. This is it. We are on to Thor Love and Thunder spoilers. If you have not seen the movie, now is your cue to leave, because when I'm done blabbering and telling you about the spoiler warning, we will be spoiling the movie, and I would hate to ruin it for you. So this is it. Thor Love and Thunder spoilers begin now.
Okay, cool.
Give me
so
a
everybody
spoiler on
dies. Oh, sorry. I was like, so Thor is dead. That's the spoiler.
That's not cool.
The MCU is over. No more
No.
movies. They've concluded.
In conclusion, the goats are great.
God, the goats. I mean, okay.
Where do you want to start?
Well, I was just gonna say, like, I kind of like Taika's quote recently that I just saw about him basically saying, like, listen, I wanted to make Thor into a character that people might not be expecting me to, in a way that, like, he wanted to buck convention enough and make the movie he wanted to make, and he knew he was doing it in a way that would probably be off-putting to some fans and off-putting to the way that, like, yeah, I don't want him being like the God King who just goes out and kicks ass. He's like, I want Thor to be in love, and I want Thor to, like, feel those emotions. And I don't know, I like that worked for me. And I also understand why I am seeing immediate, like, reactions and tweets being like, this movie does not work for me as someone who loved Ragnarok, and, like, I think this is better than Ragnarok. And a lot of people elsewhere I'm seeing are just like, yeah, this pales in comparison to Ragnarok. This is terrible. And I'm like, I kind of get it. Like, I don't know.
I appreciated the journey that he's gone on. I think someone on my YouTube review said, like, it's just a parody of Thor. But, like, I don't know, self parody can be pretty damn insightful, and I mean that is a kind of justifiable thing for him to experience at this point. Like, he is confused and, like, has no direction, but like, he does what he does at the beginning. He just needs to refine his purpose and what he values most, and, like, who he wants to fight alongside and for moving forward. So that element of it did make a whole lot of sense to me. I will say, though, just about the beginning of the movie, I don't necessarily know if it did feel a little forced that the Guardians were there.
Yeah, a tad. I agree.
Not that it didn't make any story sense, because of course he left with them and he would be with them at this point, and you kind of did need someone to service where Thor needs to start here. But I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm such a big Guardians fan that it was hard not to want more of them. But also, it's not my favorite Chris Pratt work, if I'm being honest. So something didn't look or feel right to me.
They all seem like they showed up for a day or two of shooting and we're just like, cool, we have to be in this for the intro. Cool. And, like, that is the vibe I get from their inclusion. Like, that was, I agree. It was a weird kind of way to start the film, and give it this, like, crossover nature, even though that's not what it is at all. It's just Thor and, like, you know, Jane and everyone's story. So the Guardians there do feel completely just shoehorned in, and that was, it was an odd way to start that. I had fun with the little owl creatures that were like little,
I like those
little steampunk
aliens. Not surprised me that you like them.
Yeah, no, of course, like, that stuff is all fun, and that's the Taika of it all. But, like, Taika's also really good at doing these obscure character interactions and finding a reason in limitless, like more limited interactions, and that didn't show through in the Guardians part. Like, they were just kind of there. And Thor did his whole, like, Guns N' Roses blaring, I'm going to come in and save the day thing. And cool. That is all awesome. Just a little waste of Guardians.
Yeah. I think I'm agreeing with you on that. I did really like the introduction of Gore, though. I like everything about Gore, but in particular, the introduction is so key to him being an exceptional villain in the MCU movies. I just love the fact that, you know, obviously the Necro sword kind of, you know, poisons him and pushes everything to an extreme, and he's especially, like, vicious and awful throughout the movie. But there's something about that beginning, but also Christian Bale's performance throughout, that never lets you forget that he's doing these terrible things for, I mean, not necessarily a fully relatable reason. I don't want to be like, you know, Gore, you did the right thing, you followed the right path. But, like, it's a starting point that is kind of easy to understand why he would turn into the monster that he became.
I mean, I would 100% say that, like, he's not a villain. He is just, of course, corrupted, and that is a person at their absolute lowest, and they are the most easily to corrupt. And especially when the entire overarching theme of, you know, Love and Thunder, and, like, outside of the Thor and Jane stuff, is that the gods, these people we idolize and the people who are our heroes, are all bullshit. Like, you know, like these are still
It
flawed
feeds into
humans, and like,
the parody of
yeah,
it all with Thor. That is exactly what they're supposed to be exploring, given the overall themes.
exactly. So I think that would like that all worked for me in that way. And the same thing where Bale was just slaying that role of Gore at like every scene he's in, whether he has to be menacing or whether he has to be like when he severs the head of that alien and throws it at the kids. I was
Dude,
dying
I
laughing. Like that's so like what Bale
love
is doing
that.
here is so good, and he brings his presence to it in a great way. And you say like, yeah, like Christian Bale, of course, like was Batman. He's been in comic book movies before, but hasn't done anything like MCU related. You know, his Batman movies were much darker, let's say. But there is very much a reason why he took this role of Gore, and you can see exactly why, because they actually fleshed out like a real character. He's not just a
Yeah.
Marvel villain. He's
And
actually just a human, you know, like
that's
in a
like
bad fucking situation.
that's maximum commitment too. Like he completely loses every ounce of himself in that role. And I know that the makeup is exceptionally well done and does play a role in him being able to lose himself in the character, but that is also extreme like physicality and the ability to kind of exude the surface layer components of a villain with an agenda, but also never letting you forget the emotional truth of what he's going through. And that
Yeah.
is that's next level acting there.
So I think this is like we'll put the spoiler thing back up, but I am curious for you, like, you know, how the humor works, because I think that was a big reason why a lot of people on my timeline weren't liking it. They were just thinking it was too, again, the parody, the goofy, that all that stuff. Like, yeah, that's not what I want for my Thor movie. And for me, it speaks my language in those moments of heartbreak, because maybe that's how I react to things too. Like maybe I just use humor as a blanket and all that stuff. So for me, it actually does kind of like speak exactly to what I might experience in those moments. So like it worked for me. Like for me, it did work. I'm curious if
I understand that not working for people. Again,
yeah,
the MCU needs to evolve and have new elements in order to continue thriving as you amass more and more films. You need to do some
yeah,
different things. But also, this is a franchise that has conditioned fans to expect a certain something. And when you deviate drastically from that certain something, I do understand pushback and saying, well, like I like what we had before. I very much get that. A big part of the reason why the humor overload worked for me in this movie is because a lot of the humor was actually very funny. Like, I
yeah,
really can't believe how many jokes in this movie land and work. And like, not even just like land and get a little chuckle. Like,
yeah.
I was like tearing up, laughing out loud, having a hard time recovering. And also, it plays really well into the style and the pace of the movie, too. And for me, it never, it was never something that like did a disservice to the more comedic beats, because
Yeah.
like the comedy also felt very natural to the characters to me.
Yeah, my prime example is the goats, and it is such
Mhm.
a weird example, but the
How does
fact
that
that they
work?
just like exactly how does that work for so long, and why am I still laughing when they crash into Gore's, you know, shadow planet, and there's the 3 second delay, and you just hear the
Lost it.
goat? Oh yeah,
Lost it.
Ken confirmed Perri lost it at that moment. She like it
So
was the
many
full we had a
people, so many people tweeted and asked me if that was the moment. I'm like, yes, yes.
like we both have our masks on obviously in the theater, and like I can't see her laughing, but I can see the physical body motion of like she's sitting watching the
Like,
movie, and then you get the goat thing on the shadow planet, and her
it's the
body just
shoulder
goes like
shake.
this, and just like and her head down, just like shaking back and forth. But that is the testament to, I don't know how many directors can pull that off, and make sure those jokes are funny by surrounding it with actually like enough care to story and enough elements that make that goat moment work over and over and over. And you're like,
Yeah.
that's a good person who understands comedy.
It's the directing, but it's also having lead actors who really understand your comedic sensibilities. I think the way that I phrased it in my non-spoiler review is that the combination of Taika Waititi and Chris Hemsworth, like it was almost like it set Hemsworth free. It like let him loose to be able to explore his range and do like the max. Whereas I think he was a little, shackled by the material he got in those first two Thor movies, even though I actually do like both of them. I even like the Dark
Yeah.
World a little bit. But I found the same thing happening with Natalie Portman here. And I think the two of them they really understand how to deliver lines like that, but in a way that doesn't feel out of character. And that's why it works. And that's why, at least in my my opinion, again, I understand people feel differently. That's kind of why Taika Waititi can, have his cake and eat it too with a movie like this, in terms of being able to make the most of the comedy that he's real good at, but also still have a meaningful emotional through line in the movie.
These jokes were hilarious.
Every time.
Jane Fonda and
Every time.
Jodie Foster. But I mean, and again, this is why it's love-hate. Like, this exact reason where I love Ragnarok, but the humor in Love and Thunder was a lot more hit and miss because Taika went full Taika. Like Ragnarok was a more subdued version of Taika, where he's still doing the Marvel formula in a way. And again, that's why I said my thing before, where I think Marvel is actually letting their filmmakers just have more personality in their films, because Love and Thunder is a Taika Waititi movie in the MCU, where Ragnarok is an MCU movie directed by Taika Waititi. Like that is my distinction. And whether that works for you or not is very dependent on, like, if you want to go full bore, if you can go along with Taika being the entire insane goofball that he is and doing that in Marvel's universe. Like that's just where it is.
That's where my head was at. Hey, Sam, how you doing? I realized last night that I love Taika's style when it's his original story, like Eagle versus Shark or What We Do in the Shadows. When he puts that into an existing IP, it feels out of place and doesn't totally work for me. I get it. His style is so specific and unique to him that, something like that, I get how it can feel out of place in an established franchise like the MCU.
But
I just understandable.
I just love the way he does things, though, because it's like, cool, I'm going to give you a Marvel action set piece because we have to, but I'm going to do it with little kids, waving their buddies around and stuff. Like he just finds really unique ways to do the Marvel things. Like he checks all the Marvel boxes and he gives the studio what they want. But again, he does it in a way that is uniquely Taika and like unique to the film he is making, because that action set piece with those kids with those superpowered weapons,
I love
it just means so much. Like, that is so cool.
Can I just give a big shout out to the young actor who plays Axel? Because I thought he was excellent.
Oh, yeah.
Kieran L. Dyer, just like absolutely fantastic in a smaller role that needs to have a big presence. He did exactly what he needed to do. And, I love the fact that it connects to Heimdall. I missed that character. And I liked that his presence was felt through Axel. And I thought he was just phenomenal in the role. Can I tell you one complaint that I had, though?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So one of my biggest criticisms of this movie is what they do with Valkyrie. I think Tessa Thompson is great in that role. I don't think this movie uses her nearly enough. And also, it's really cool that she's the leader of New Asgard, but are we ever going to get into the nitty-gritty of it? Are we ever going to actually explore what that means and how she fully feels about it? You tap that information here a little bit, and you kind of tease us with it, but you don't really get into it at all. And she's a major part of this mission.
I think I'm okay with it because this is more Jane's story. I understand the qualms about not having enough Valkyrie, but this is 100% Jane's story, and what Jane is going through has to be in the forefront. And I know you can have both, but I think the way the story is told, you kind of need to put Jane ahead of Valkyrie there. So at least that is where I gave it that kind of credit.
I get it because Jane's arc in this movie was one of my favorite things. And I also really appreciated her journey alongside Thor and what their journeys did for the other in the process. Yeah. And I wouldn't want to take away from any of that, but I do think there was a way to make Valkyrie's arc stronger. Where it really hit me that I wasn't going to get what I want from that character is after their battle with Gore. And they were legit just we're going to leave you here now. Goodbye.
Yeah, you're good. You got to just go do your thing. You're fine.
Yeah. So I was I understand disappointed by that, but it is so much fun watching Natalie Portman have fun.
Oh yeah,
and make the most of a role that she probably could have made more of in previous films. So it's about time.
But it makes sense why she came back again for this one. I don't know if they nail the entire arc that Natalie Portman is doing there and Jane's entire story, but I don't know. I'm okay with it. Yeah, I know you're.
Yeah, I had a feeling that was coming.
Amelia was not a fan of that aspect. A fan of the movie, but just not that aspect.
It worked for me as someone who is not aware of how that's handled in the source material, for what that's worth. Okay. Haunted Autumn is here with a super chat. Big thank you for that. went in expecting to be put off by full Taika humor, but it had a better balance than I was led to believe. By the time it came around, I found myself cheering with the final "Eat My Hammer." Speaking of the hammer, did you expect Mjolnir and Stormbreaker to be some of the best characters in this movie? Because holy shit.
There was more tension between Hemsworth and Stormbreaker than like any romantic comedy I've seen this year. It was fucking amazing. Like that is one of my favorite Marvel gags, and again, so incredibly Taika, and I understand why it doesn't work for you. But the fact that there is like literal romantic chemistry and kind of like stress put on Stormbreaker, and I'm not going to butcher the name that you've just said of the hammer that I don't want.
Mjolnir. Someone will probably say I'm not saying it right. Meow meow.
That's fair.
Meow meow.
Anyway, yes, greatest gag again that only Taika can put off, but you have to be like into that kind of humor to get that.
What did you think of the cameos?
I was gonna say, do you want to talk about the after credits really quick, because I think they're very important.
Oh yeah.
To like the cameos, yes. Number one, the cameos are hilarious. If we're talking spoilers, Damon returning needed to happen. Like, of course,
yeah, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed Melissa McCarthy too.
Yes, I was gonna say Melissa McCarthy doing. Oh, that was so funny.
And it's I think like Russell Crowe was just going for it too, and I was all for it.
Well, again, I'm hoping that's not even a cameo at this point. I'm hoping that is recurring because we get the first credit scene where.
Well, I also think that that's a big story point that's going to need more like that is a big deal, that the gods that rule this realm have such differing opinions on what matters and what doesn't. I mean, there's one other story thing that I was picking on a little bit. So I understand that, because we get Russell Crowe as Zeus and he doesn't want to deal with this. He wants to push it under the rug. I do understand that kind of justifies the idea of us never getting to see the big picture of what Gorr's actions have done to the realms that it has affected. But the fact that I knew he killed certain gods and never got any understanding of what it did to those worlds and those gods' followers, that felt like a little bit of a missing piece that I think I needed a little more of.
Yeah, totally understandable. Yeah, you've gone and just killed so many gods, and you've left so many planets godless. Like, what is happening there?
Yeah, I kind of needed that. Where were we going after that? Oh,
I was just saying, if you wanted to close on end credits, because I mean,
I do.
Getting Brett Goldstein as Hercules is,
I'm very excited. I love Brett Goldstein. I'm very excited about all that. I will say though, it feels like I have too much of a pileup of cool actors and exciting roles that I'm not fully able to appreciate it anymore. Like, I think they just need to stop doing that for a minute until we can see some of these characters actually get rolled out into the material, because like it's a lot right now.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue that like Eternals gets most exciting during its end credits and stuff like that. So it's like you have introductions there. You have I think Sam Raimi did a good job with his end credit sequences, because again, like you just said, we just had a brand new character introduced there, and also Pizza Papa gets his redemption.
Well, yeah, and I think that's probably why I liked the second end credit scene more, is because I like the possibilities for a character that we already know and love, like the fact that they don't necessarily close the door and make that the end of her story, that there could be more in an interesting way, maybe.
And so upon my research, I did a little just like quick research into the backstory. Like, Jane Foster does come back from Valhalla. Like, there is an arc where she is taken back. I believe it's Thor. So it's like, I agree with you. I think that's an important scene, because not only you bring interest back and you get that moment that's so sweet, but you do say like she's in Valhalla. It's an amazing moment for her. There's also a comic book arc that brings her back. So I don't know.
One more.
Oh, she does.
One more point I want to make about that, because it is one of my favorite of all of the recent end credit scenes. A big reason why I love it is because, yes, it teases future possibilities, but it also comes with a really satisfying sense of closure too. Mm-hmm. So I think you wind up getting the best of both worlds there, and I really appreciated it.
Agreed.
We have to wind this down, and I have to run because today is Papa Nem's birthday. And that means that I get to celebrate with a gigantic steak again. So this time I will actually post a picture of my full steak and not my half-eaten steak like I did last time. But I got really excited when it came to the table.
Yeah, no, it's steak. You have to just immediately dive into it. It's a hot steak.
Is there any last thing you want to plug before we peace out?
Just the same. At Not a Bomb, Twitter, Letterboxd, Instagram.
Yeah.
Follow me and just follow me.
Ladies' night. Go watch the Claudia Dumet episode and keep an eye out for Natalia Dyer. And have a great weekend, everyone. We will see you back on the same coast next weekend.
Bye.
Goodbye. Goodbye.